Брифінг речника антитерористичної операції. Запрошую до слова полковника Андрія Лисенка.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. According to latest intelligence, the enemy continues to regroup its forces and amasses ammunition and fuel. They actively use the railway infrastructure on the temporarily occupied territories of Donetsk and Luhansk regions. In particular, yesterday, a train with commodities and ammunition came to the Krasnodon station, and there's training going on of the illegal armed formations that came from Russia and were mobilized from territories controlled by the illegal armed formation. They are highly intensive, and the leaves of personnel have been cancelled from the 18th of March in illegal arms formations. Here there are numerous testimony to the fact that the withdrawal of heavy arms of the militants has only a demonstrative character. Over the last 24 hours, there were 8 artillery shelling of our positions and 4 cases when the militants used tanks. The most concerned situation is in the village of Shirokino next to Mariupol, in the vicinity of Donetsk airport, and suburbs of Horlivka that are controlled by the Ukrainian authorities, and in the districts to the north of Debaltseve, and also next to Bakhmutka highway. Even today, after midnight, the enemy has perpetrated 4 armed provocations against our military. At the same time, the head of the special monitoring mission of OSCE in Ukraine, Ertugrul Arpakan, emphasized that Ukrainian military are fully adhering to the Minsk agreements. Also, the OSCE said that yesterday, during their visit to a road checkpoint in Lysenko settlement, now controlled by the militants, a field commander of one of the LNR bandit formations threatened to kill members of the mission if they do not obey his orders. The reason of such reaction, the mission's report says, was the explosion of military lorry, as a result of which 2 militants were killed and 1 was wounded. Over the last 24 hours, there are no killed among the Ukrainian military, 1 was wounded. According to intelligence in the militant milieu, there's a hunger for recruitment, the reason for which is physical losses and the refusal of militants to take part in combat action. The so-called military commissariats of the NR are mobilizing school students and professional school students. The military of the 128th Separate Mountain Infantry Brigade got over 55,000 hryvnia for the seizure of an enemy tank T-72 and for other combat tasks. 8 military servicemen got those remunerations. Every one of them got 6,090 hryvnia for the seizure of enemy machinery and 1,000 hryvnia for their direct participation in combat action. The President of Ukraine talked on the phone with the Vice President of the USA. Joe Biden told about the decision of the President of the USA to conduct trainings for 780 Ukrainian military from the National Guards. That will take place very soon. Also, the Vice President of the USA said that by the end of March, Ukraine will see the first batch of military vehicles to increase the defense capacity of Ukraine. 25 young resettlers, IDPs from Donetsk, who have been for more than 2 months in the Solony Liman health resort, will remain in Dnipropetrovsk region. On the 17th of March, the school students have moved to the city of Nikopol, where they will be able to study and live in comfortable conditions. In physiotherapeutic hospital, they were over 3 treatment periods, and the miners of Donbass have given help to the family of a hero policeman who died. Senior Lieutenant Vitaly Mandrik was active in the anti-terrorist operation from the very start. He didn't spare himself. He was protecting the independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of Ukraine, and was always dedicated to the service to Ukrainian people. He died on the 23rd of February in Mariupol while liquidating the subversive group of the militants. He left behind him a 19-year-old wife and a small daughter. They had to leave their residence in Donetsk, occupied by the terrorists, and they are now living in Mariupol in a rented flat. And the command of the regional police has asked the Krasnoarmeysk City Council to give a dwelling to the family of the hero, and the working collective of mine department Pokrovsky has decided to give them a two-bedroom flat.
Kiev athletes rendered humanitarian aid to the units of National Guards, and they sent them thermal linen and antibiotics and painkillers. The Ukrainian soldiers undergoing rotation in Donetsk and Lugansk regions. One of the special forces Sumy soldiers, they spent 1 month in the combat area at the checkpoints, and they defended civil citizens. They revealed law violators, and they were involved in detention of criminals. To Odessa, a unit of special forces of the Navy, Ukrainian Navy, came back, as well as Chernigiv tank unit soldiers came back to the motherland. They spent 1 year at the eastern Ukraine. Now they will have all the necessary documents and costs. Then they will be demobilized according to the presidential decree. One of the stories, a person with the nickname Tikhy, which is calm, commander of one of the artillery units of the Ukrainian army, and his first important fight he had in Lugansk airport. He remembered that the enemy that called themselves guerrillas at that time, they had very heavy shooting on their heads, and it was very good actions of Colonel Kovalchuk, one of the other people. Tikhy as well left the Lugansk airport after a short rest and rehabilitation of machinery. The unit of Tikhy again traveled to the front line, and once they had an attack from the band formation, and they tell people that they better dig down to the ground, and the mortars, the cannons of Tikhy was very effective, and a lot of Russian Spetsnaz and other forces of Russian Federation had all that artillery shells on their heads. They have very good discipline and absolute secrecy of their activity. As well, they have well-developed technical means of calculation of Ukrainian-made. He is expecting a good future for Ukrainian artillery forces, and hopefully, he says, artillery will be credited, will be considered more clearly as one of the powerful unit. Thank you. Any questions? Alexander Demchenko, Ukrainian radio. You know that in Lugansk settlement, the separatists, they had an offense and they set in the Ukrainian army positions. We do not have this information. This information is not proved. Any other questions? No more questions. Thank you.